Good afternoon, everyone. This is the first private training course on European project designing of Mina Vaganti NGO, and I'm very proud of having you. It's going to be a kind of historical moment. It is. I introduce myself. I'm Roberto Solinas. I'm a founder, direct co-founder with Maria, that is here as well. Director of Mina Vaganti NGO. We are a social enterprise NGO, but it's not enough. It's limiting saying NGO or associazione. We don't like that term. We are a social enterprise active in all European direct funds. In Erasmus Plus, more than 70% of our activity is there. And we are in all sectors. So adults, youth, vocational training, sport, and school. And as well, we are in Horizon 2020. Some of us, I'm personally an evaluator of Horizon 2020 call, and we've been coordinating COSME, Justice. We are basically every direct funds. We are into it. We are 53 people at the moment in Trello cooperating in the organization. Trello is our project. How to say? Our tool to make people working agile around the world that we did before the COVID crisis. And but in the office we are 22 people at the moment. Of course, now with COVID we are rotating, so we are 7, 8 let's say full-time, 5, 6 like part-time, and then several internationals that are coming with different programs like Erasmus Entrepreneurs, Erasmus Placement, EVS, now Solidarity Corps, and so on. So what we are, a social enterprise, pragmatic approach, idealistic approach, together, synthesis, and we are into topics as from circular economy to sustainable development, green entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, sport as a tool for inclusion. And basically we are an incubator, so project designers or potential project designers, they come to our office with their background, and of course we can enlarge our spectrum of possible topics because they bring their passions inside. So the good thing about this job, beside the fact that you travel the world, and I've been in more than 100 countries in my life because of the job, and most of them, it's because if you have an idea and if you want to become a project designer, then you can put this idea in, reality. And basically there are some limits like the guidelines of the program, but then you can realize in a way your dreams. That's why we love this job, among other reasons. But Patrizio will tell you more about that today.
You're stealing my lines.
Yeah, I know, don't worry. Here with me to make you understand, of course, Maria will have 1 minute because you were not in the program, Maria. So you are just as usual to interrupt the flow of work, not joking. Patrizio and Samantha, they are our senior project designers. Patrizio is from Rome, is a professional since many years, and still now when you talk to him and you ask, he will answer you, this is the job of my life, this is I've born to do this. So he's the right person also to transmit enthusiasm. Samantha is just a superstar in the project designing, and not only, she will tell what Samantha is. And that's it from my side. I wish you the best. Of course, this is free course, and we would like to interact with you, to understand you, because of course we have also an interest. Maybe some of you wants to work with us or cooperate with us. We are very direct people, so of course we are doing this for free, but there are always some reasons why we do this for free, because maybe some of you want to pay the second part, and of course to give the value of the time that is very costly of Samantha and Patrizio, I can assure you. And of course, but in this process, this job is about people, as we are an NGO in this sense. So if the people are willing to cooperate with us, we can give a chance to anyone, of course, fitting to our very, very peculiar way of thinking and working, because we are workaholic. And I stop now. Thank you for your attention. And Maria, you want to say something, right? I can see that you really want to.
Yeah, no, I'm just here basically to greet all of you. That's true that my intervention was not foreseen, but since I had the chance to talk with some of you at the phone, I was also curious to see the faces, I must add. And wish you all the best during this training course. With Roberto, we co-shared the same story and background, and what he said, it was basically our entrepreneurial journey. I can just add that besides Mina Avanti NGO, we also co-lead 2 more organizations. The other one is based in software as well, and it's a network, now counted 37 organizations, and another one is based in Berlin. So never stop dreaming, because, and this is my best wish to all of you, because I know that if you are attending this training course, it's really because you have an idea that you would like to turn into reality. So put it in black and white in the form, and then get in the fun. And this is the best wish that I can give to all of you. And then the word goes to our lovely trainers, Patrizio and Samantha, that can also introduce yourself.
Okay, since I discovered reactions in Zoom 2 months ago, my life changed completely. All right, thank you very much. I wish you the best. If you have any problem during this course, talk to Samantha. And and I wish to have you around somehow. It means that the course was a success, and you learned something, and maybe we can somehow cooperate. Who knows? Pat, Chuck, I disappeared.
Yes. So I don't know if Samantha also wants to briefly introduce herself. She's gonna be your, don't know if I can say teacher, trainer, professor for the next class. Trainer. Okay, Samantha prefers trainer. So she's gonna be your trainer for the next class. So maybe you can just say a couple of words, Emma, so that they know who you are next time, and you can go straight to the point.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Samantha. I'm a project designer, project manager, and trainer at Mina Vaganti NGO. So I'm involved in this sector since 2014. So basically when the Erasmus Plus program was launched. So I started in parallel to improve my skills in design, management, and training at the same time. Because I decided for this sector to be my work, and I love it. It's my paradise. You have office work and then you can travel. It's perfect for me. So basically I decided to do to cover all the roles that you can have in this kind of project. It's really challenging. It's really interesting. You can also explore new topics. For example, I have a degree in linguistic and culture mediator. So one of the main target groups for me are migrants and refugees. But in these 6 years that I'm involved in this sector, I also had the chance to improve myself and to learn new topics, writing projects, managing projects. So it's really, really nice sector if you would like for this to be your job. And basically, I think that that's it for me. So short introduction, then it's up to you, Pat.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks a lot for sharing your story and your background. So you will hear a lot more about Samantha in the next class. And now, since I'm gonna be your trainer for the day, I'm gonna be introducing myself. So as we talked already, I'm Patrizio Ricci. I am from Rome, as was said, and moved to Sassari almost a year ago now. Yeah, more or less, because I came here first time the end of November, if I'm not wrong. So I have been working in this field for a few years now. Started, well, my academic journey was less linear than the one that Sam had. So actually I started studying the same things as Sam, so linguistic languages to become a cultural mediator. Then I shifted a bit after working at the European Parliament to history. graduated in contemporary history, got really involved with Asia. So moved to Asia, moved back to Europe, had a master in Chinese studies, where I wanted to start working in the cooperation between China and the EU. So I discovered the world of European projects. So there are projects in which countries and Europe cooperate together, and European countries with countries outside the European Union. That was a huge discovery for me. I had a master, a bit longer, but not so different from the courses that you're gonna have with us. And from then I started working in this field. At the beginning I worked in Lithuania at the Kaunas University of Technology. Then I moved to the Canary Island to work in Horizon 2020. So at the KTU, was working on Erasmus. In the Canary Island, I was working on Horizon 2020. I was actually focusing on the program that Roberto evaluates. That is what used to be called the SME instrument, that now is the ESC accelerator. And from then, the will to be a project manager again was too big, and then I started to look around, and I found Roberto and Maria Grazia, and we decided to get back together and to cooperate and work more on social issues and several other things. So this was a brief introduction of who I am, my background. I would like actually to have, I don't want to make this part too long, because of course we all want to get to the course, but it would be nice to know a bit about you. I know that some of you didn't have any previous experience with European projects, didn't participate, for example, in an Erasmus, a semester abroad, or this kind of stuff. So this is gonna be really an introduction to the world of funding schemes, and we'll be looking a bit more into details for Horizon 2020 and Erasmus Plus. So as Roberto was saying, we work, the majority of our projects are in the field of Erasmus. So this is really main topic. And also Horizon, let's say, Erasmus is one of the broader funding schemes that you can find. And the beauty of it is that it's really, I mean, you have guidelines from the top, but then it's bottom-up approach. So you have an idea that fits in the priorities of the European Commission, and you can write a project, try to participate, try to get the money and make it real. So it's really, it has a big component of, I would like to say dreams. Maybe I'm a bit too of an idealist if I say dreams, but let's say like everyone can put themselves in the field and try to do something to improve European society through this. So I would like to start sharing my screen, but I'm having a couple of technical problems here on Zoom. It's the beauty of being live. So I think Samantha is the host, and she can allow me to share my screen. We cannot hear you, Sam. I mean, we sense that you want to communicate with us.
Sorry. No, I will ask again because it's the president.
It's Roberto. Yeah, I also asked him, but okay, yeah, I still don't have it. So maybe we can use this time to know just a sentence or two about each one of you, just to know if this is your first approach with European projects, what you would like to get out of this course. And if you think, if you are not currently working on this field, if you think you approach this course because you think it might be the right place for you. So I will go on clockwise direction according to what I have on my screen. So we will start with Marwan.
Yeah. So my name is Marwan. I have 4 years of experience actually in EU-funded projects. Have worked in Portugal, France, Serbia, Italy,
Nice.
Poland, Bulgaria, Denmark, and EU-funded projects. Being Erasmus Interreg Age 2020. I'm looking at working actually at you in the NGO, and I'm just here to see how you're running the things. As per asked from Maria. And yeah, I hope I will be in Sardinia soon, working from the office with you guys.
Okay, that's the spirit. I like it. I like it a lot. Then on my screen, I have Alessandro. If you want just a couple of sentences, very brief introduction. But we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, Alessandro. Okay, maybe try to fix and we'll get back to you. Oh, okay, now, okay.
Yes. This is my first experience with the Euro project, and I study in political and governance in Sassari. And I study in Olsztyn, in Poland, in Erasmus. And my dream is worked in the aero projection world. And for me, this moment is important.
Again, a lot of enthusiasms and high hopes about this. I really like it. And now the next one will be Giuseppina. I know you're from Huri, from Ossi, sorry, from Ossi, you said. Still learning, sorry guys, I'm still learning about Sardinian geography, you know?
Fine. Well, I'm from Ossi, but I have to say I just moved back from Denmark because I'm educated as chemist and I used to work as coordinator of international projects there. So I had my team in Denmark and one in the US. And I also lived in Germany and the UK, and I did that through the Erasmus program. And I applied to this course because I'm also interested in working with Mine Vaganti, as Marwan said. So maybe we'll all be colleagues soon.
Yeah. Just one question, sorry. You said you were working there coordinating international projects. So you already worked with projects funded by the European Commission, European Union, or it was more private thing?
It was private because it was production of new insulin. So it was funded by a company.
Okay, yeah, no, I get it. It's just my curiosity here. Then we have Sara. Thanks again, Giuseppina, for sharing.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah. I studied linguistic mediation and I actually did my 3rd year in England for my Erasmus program. And then I studied international cooperation. So I'm kind of used to the funding schemes, but more toward third world countries. And I was curious to find out more about European projects.
Okay, good, thanks. And then we have Chiara. We cannot hear you. You all start really full of energy, but no audio.
Hi, sister. Hello.
Okay.
Sorry. Hello, my name is Chiara. I'm from Sardinia. I work in education field, and I'm a very lucky person because I participate a lot of Erasmus programs. I was in Portugal 8 months for study. Then
Nice.
I went to Malta 3 months to work in a travel agency. Then I went to Turkey, to Romania. So
you were just born in Sardinia?
Yes.
That's it.
Practically, yes. And I'm really curious about European, how is the organization, how Mine Vaganti works. I'm really curious, and it's a little dream. So I want to discover.
Good, good. Thank you for sharing. And then we have Hannah. We have in order, so you can go directly. Now we have Anna. Then we have Viviana, and then we have, and I don't want to mispronounce it, Kaja. Kaja.
Khadija.
Sorry?
Khadija.
Khadija. Perfect. So Anna, Viviana, and Khadija.
Hi, so my name is a bit easier than Khadija, and I have a background in cultural mediation and international cooperation, and I had experiences at the European level with the 2 Erasmus Plus, studying abroad in Spain and France. And lately I have worked in an NGO in Bergamo, so I am used to European projects, but I wanted to deepen in my knowledge through this course, because my project is that of moving to Sardinia. So the vice president told me that there was this opportunity and I decided to take it.
Nice. Thanks for sharing.
My name is Viviana, and I've never worked in this sector. I've actually worked in media and communication for most of my life. I have a master in media and communication, and I've worked for different agencies in Italy and abroad. And I'm trying to change career, and I'd like to know more about this sector.
Good. Then you will discover a lot of very nice things about this world.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And then Khadija,
Yes.
I had to say it again just to do it right.
Hi to everyone. I think that I'm the only one from the North Italy. I'm from Turin. No, I'm not the only one. I'm graduating in international relations. Now I'm doing a double master degree between Italy and Morocco. I've almost done my master degree. It was really hard, but I will finish soon. I had a different experience with Erasmus Plus because I was involved in a youth exchange training course and so on. And I'm here because I want to know more how it works, project planning, because I always was involved as a participant or as a trainer, but not as a project manager. So that's why I'm here, because I want to know how it works. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. And then I think maybe I couldn't see it in the screen before, but we still have one, that it's Emanuela, right? At least I have a little box that said Emanuela. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Hello, Emanuela.
I'm Emanuela. I studied international science in Turin, and I worked with the refugees near Cuneo. But it's my first approach with the European project, so I'm curious and now stop.
Okay, great, thanks. So I think now we all introduce ourselves. We all know a bit more about each other, and it's not just you knowing something about me and Sam. So I will start now to share my screen, and I will ask you if it's okay to mute yourself, just to avoid there might be any noise or something. And then if you want to make a question or something, we will have a moment at the end for a Q&A, a little Q&A session. But if there's something really important that really maybe you're not understanding something you want to ask during the meeting, there should be the option to raise your hand on Zoom, or either you just unmute yourself and shout Patrizio, and I'll stop. Okay? Okay, so let's start. And unmute myself. Okay, so you can all move my picture on the screen. So I would suggest you to put it on the top left, because the presentation Welcome to the first class of the basic course of Mine Vaganti NGO in European project management. So as I said several times already, this class particularly will be a very basic introduction of the world of European funding. So what we mean with the role of the EU project manager, what is European project management, Then which are actually the main funding schemes that the European Union is putting, let's say, on the table for us to use. And then we'll have a brief overview to the most important, but we will focus more on Horizon 2020 and Erasmus+. Once we'll go a bit deeper into the presentation, you will notice also that that's because those are the two funding schemes with the highest budget. So nothing is left random. So we can start. If the presentation will cooperate with me. Here we are. So what is European project management? European project management, we intend a term that qualify all those actions that are required and needed to produce, draft and submit a project to either the European Commission or national agencies. It depends on the particular type of grant, but it's intended as all the process that lead to the submission of a project to be granted with European money. So EU project management can involve both public entities and private organizations. With public entities, we can intend the state or local authorities, local government, and so on. And with private organization, it can be companies, associations, foundations, NGOs like us, and so on. Is it well? Let's say that EU project management is often referred as one of the most promising sources of employment. Also because it's really not regulated on an academic side, so it seems quite new. There are not a lot of things that you can do when you are in university to study to become a European project manager. You can study to become a project manager, but directly targeting this field, there are not a lot. I know that University La Sapienza started last year, if I'm not wrong, with an academic path that will last 2 years. There is something from the Ca' Foscari University of Venice, but again, that is for like 10 days. And we can also Padova, Marwan is saying, okay, well, you see, you're more, I know that you're from Padova, so you know a bit more about that area than me. I knew Venice. We actually had few people in the office that had the master in Venice, and but it's promising. It's starting. A lot of universities, a lot of entities are starting to recognize the importance also of having a figure like this in their office. That it was something that a lot of organizations struggled, like in communicating with universities, trying to make them understand the importance of having someone writing that it's trained to write this kind of projects to do it. And if we can go on, again, my presentation is not really cooperating. Yes, here we are. How to be a good EU project manager. So there is not a golden rule, I would say. It's not like something you can find in a book. Of course, the basic skills of a European project manager are not so different from the skills that are required in project management in other fields. So, of course, good organizational skills, lateral thinking, good problem solving, leadership, because most of cases you will need to run a team. But of course, to be a European project manager, it's the one of leadership. It's probably even more important because you will have to lead international partnerships. So you will create consortium of several partners coming from different countries, and you will need to be able to build connection, build partnership, and most likely, especially if you're going to be working with us in a VNGO, you will have to run this partnership. So that is That is probably one of the most important. And then there's the fact that both me and Roberto talked already a bit about. I know that Sam wants to talk a lot about it in the next class, so I don't want to steal her thunder. But of course, the component of imagination, creativity, I mean, at the end of the day, it's most likely in European projects, you can have a bottom-up approach. So you can come up with the idea and create it. So the more you are creative, the more you have imagination, the more you have the ability to look around you, find the problem and imagine a solution, and most likely you will be successful in this field. Then we get to the world of European funding schemes. So what are the main European funding schemes? These are not the only ones, but we have here, we can see Horizon 2020, Erasmus+, AMIF, Creative Europe, COSME, LIFE, and much more. So these are the more or less, let's say, if not the most important, the ones that covers most of the life in European society, the ones with the highest budget in most cases, so also with most opportunities to be successful in a project application and to actually implement something that can have an impact in our society. And as I said, much more. So we'll start to have a look a bit into this, and then at the end we are going to focus a bit more on Erasmus+. So we start with Horizon 2020. 2020, as the name might suggest, it will expire this year. There have been talks both for Erasmus and Horizon to maybe extend for a few months due to the COVID situation that blocked a bit the European life. But so far it will end in 2020. So most of the European funding schemes goes by 7 years by 7 years. So they get most likely renewed, change with the name, with a different budget, changing a bit the priorities, but every 7 years. So for this period of time, the time frame we're looking for is 2014-2020. You will have me repeat it like a mantra. We're going to talk about several schemes, and they're all going to be 2014-2020. So let's go a bit into more details about Horizon 2020. So Horizon 2020 was really innovative in 2014 when it started. And why? First of all, because it's a single program that is bringing together 3 separate programs or initiatives. So this helped a lot, because earlier on there were a lot of fundings available, but it was really confusing for organizations on where to look, how to find the right call, what to do to get funded. It's still a bit confusing for some schemes. So bringing together the 3 main ones that were focusing on industrial leadership, excellence in science, and societal challenges was a huge change and a really big step up in the world of international projects. And also this brought to simplified access for all companies, universities, institutes, and there are in all EU countries and beyond. So depending on the call, depending on the pillar, there are calls in Horizon 2020 in which only EU countries can apply. There are calls in which it's required a partnership among EU countries and countries outside the European Union. And also there are also known as program country. And also in there are projects in which countries that are not EU members can apply on their own, also as solo participants. An example of this is the ESC Accelerator in the pillar number 2, but we'll get to it soon. Also, very big thing, I mean, at the end, money are the things that can help you bring the change that you dreamt of. So Horizon 2020 is the biggest EU research and innovation program ever, with nearly 80 billion euros of funding available over the 7 years of 2014-2020. All this in addition to the private investment that this money will attract. Again, we will get more into details about it later on, but especially for the part of Horizon that look at private companies. The main idea behind this kind of grants in the European Commission is not just to give you the money to do something, is to give you the money to get closer to the market, to become more competitive, to become more attractive for private investment in a way that you can then work with your own legs, and you don't need European money all the time to go on. So how's it structured, Horizon 2020? Horizon 2020 is structured following 3 pillars that follows the 3 previous granting scheme that we talked about. Each pillar then it's organized in several sub-priorities. So these three pillars are Pillar 1, excellent science, Pillar 2, industrial leadership, Pillar 3, societal challenges. So excellent science starts with an assumption that some of the best minds in the world are European, but yet they don't work in Europe. That is because we are way behind with infrastructures, with competitiveness of salaries, and with projectuality regarding science. So the main idea is that bringing a big amount of money, granting a large number of scholarships, they can keep these minds in Europe, or either attract them back or attract other kind of people and researchers in Europe to improve European infrastructures, to increase competitiveness in salaries, and so on. Industrial leadership is to support key technologies such as microelectronics, advanced manufacturing, or in general technological innovation, something that can really be disruptive and can change the market is approaching. And part of this pillar is, in example, the ESC accelerator that Roberto is evaluating and that I was working with before joining MVNGO. The idea behind it is that the European Commission will grant you the money for very disruptive ideas and projects to get really close to the market in a way that you can attract private investment, you can come and disrupt literally the market. And this is, for example, one of the programs that I was talking before, that also countries not EU members but that are inside the European Economic Area, like an example, Israel can apply to the ESC accelerator, just on the top of my mind. Then we have the Pillar 3, that is societal challenges. So societal challenges, it's for all those things that Europe, the European Union, is facing together as a society. So we have calls to support research and innovation targeting climate, environment, energy, transport, societal crisis like the one with migrants, refugees, and so on. So there are several calls that are organized. In some cases, it's biannual, so every 2 years there are the calls that will be granted. Again, really bottom up. I mean, you have general guidelines. You have the priority that the Commission is trying to address. You have what they want to come up with, but then you can bring your project to get to the result. So your idea on how to perform research, on how to innovate this field. Okay. And as I said, we are gonna focus more in Erasmus later, and now this was just a brief overview about the other funding schemes. So we had a bit of a deeper look in Horizon 2020, since it's the biggest one and also one of the most challenging. But now we can see, we can go to life. So LIFE is a program running since 1992. It's the European Union instrument for the environment and climate action. So the current funding period, again, my mantra, 2014-2020, with a budget of 3.4 billion euros. So LIFE program helps companies to bring their green products, technology, services, and processes to the market. Again, this is not so far from the ESG Accelerator in Horizon. The Commission here is trying to, the European Union here is trying to take close to market projects and companies and give them the final boost to increase their competitiveness and to be able to attract private investment and to reach the market with solutions that offer clear environmental climate benefits. Then we have the AMIF. The AMIF stands for Asylum Migration and Integration Fund, was set up for the period 2014-2020 with a total of 3.13 billion euros. So the aim of this funding scheme is to promote the efficient management of migration flows and the implementation, strengthening, and development of a common union approach to asylum and immigration. I think it's something that we can all agree that most of the times it's missing. There's a funding scheme regarding this in particular, and it's AMIF. AMIF projects are really challenging also to write. I put myself in this place a couple of times here with MVNGO, but it can be really rewarding. And it goes on four specific objectives, goes following four specific objectives. There are asylum, legal migration and integration, return, and solidarity. Solidarity here is intended more in solidarity among the EU states, always with the final aim to create a common union approach to these problems. Then we have COSME. So COSME is targeting small and medium enterprises. There are, as we all know, as we all heard a lot of politicians say this sentence a lot of times, so small and medium enterprises are the backbone of Europe's economy, providing 85% of new jobs. It's true. It's actually really, really true. And the Commission, this is one of the things that I appreciated the most once I entered this field, is to notice how much the European Union is trying to do for small and medium enterprises around the Union. And so COSME is, again, to raise competitiveness of enterprises and SME. You don't need me to repeat the years. It's already, you're probably going to sleep tonight saying 2014-2020. It has a budget of 2.3 billion euros, and COSME is to support the areas that will help facilitate the access to finance for SMEs, support internationalization and access to market, creating an environment favorable to competitiveness, and encouraging an entrepreneurial culture. Again, also something in which we as MVNGO and MV International are really working hard on is the development of an entrepreneurial culture. So we are really close to this. We actually coordinated a COSME a few years back, and we're always looking for the right call. Then we have Creative Europe. Creative Europe is probably one of the most used programs together with Erasmus, and yet one of the less known. So it's to help and support culture and audiovisual sectors. The budget is roughly 1.5 billion euros, and it's set to help cultural and creative sectors to seize the opportunities of the digital age, enable these sectors to reach their economic potential, contributing and counting on sustainable growth, jobs, and social cohesion, and give Europe's culture and media sectors access to new international opportunities, markets, and audiences. So this will specifically involve fundings for 2,500 artists and cultural professionals, 2,000 cinemas, 800 films, and 4,500 book translations. So you probably didn't notice, or sometimes you did, but you weren't really paying attention. In a lot of movies that you watch, either at the beginning or at the end, you can see this little logo on the screen. Well, now it's not really little, but you will see this logo on the screen saying that the movie was co-funded by the Creative Europe funding scheme. So it's really, I think it's really important. It's really something that goes to the root of the European identity, working on art and cultural sides. And this was the last one, because now we are focusing and we put all our efforts in Erasmus+. This time I will say it, Erasmus Plus running 2014-2020. We all know that Erasmus didn't start in 2014, but this is the current, let's say, the current time frame. It will expire at the end of the year, and the new one will start in 2021. So all these funding schemes that we talked about, those who will be renewed for another 7 years, going from 2021 to 2027. And we all know, in example, that Horizon Horizon 2020 is going to be Horizon Europe, like it even more. And Erasmus, I think it will keep the name Erasmus Plus. There was in talk between being only Erasmus or Erasmus Plus, keeping Erasmus Plus. That was quite successful. So Erasmus Plus is the European Union program for education, training, youth, and sport. It runs from 7 years, 2014-2020, with organizations invited to apply for funding each year to approach these life-changing activities. So the main aim is to modernize education, training, youth work across Europe, and it is open to educational institutions, training institutions, youth and sport organizations. Actually, sport, it was a really nice addition to this program, to non-for-profit organizations just like us, and so on. So over its lifetime, Erasmus Plus have an overall budget of 14.7 billion euros. So as you notice, we've seen few of them. So Horizon 2020 was close to 80 billion, Erasmus Plus almost 15, and then the others quite still significant budget, but way less than this. It's in talks to have a budget 3 times higher for Erasmus and doubled for Horizon. We'll see if they will keep this word after the COVID situation. And that will mean much more opportunities for all of us, either to have a project approved and at the same time to travel and to get into these activities. So through Erasmus, for those of you that didn't participate already, young people can study, volunteer, gain work experience abroad, develop new skills, gain international experience, and boost their employability. It is proven that an experience abroad, it's something that it's foreseen by most of employers nowadays. So mobility in Erasmus can really help you, other than just open a bit your mind, the possibility to live, not just to travel, but to live in a different country, experiencing a different culture, and so on. And this is probably the Erasmus that we all know, where students can go spend a semester abroad or to have their trainship after graduation and so on. But it's not only this, especially regarding mobility, it's also staff can teach or train abroad to develop their professional practice, build relationship with international peers, and gain fresh ideas. Then organizations can collaborate with international partners to drive innovation, share best practices, and offer new opportunities to young people. And this would be, in example, the case of MVNGO, that had the chance through Erasmus to grow an international network that resulted in MV International, to improve, to have a different approach, an approach that you don't find in all companies. That is a big component of international cooperation into this. So what are we are going to go into the objectives and priorities. I want to apologize because I just realizing that I say the word "so" a lot every time we change slide, but we all have our little things. So project proposals must refer to the general objectives of the Erasmus Plus program that are in the contribution to the achievement of the objective of Europe 2020 strategy, objectives of the strategic framework for European cooperation in education and training, ET 2020, sustainable development of partner countries in the field of higher education, the overall objectives of the EU youth strategies, the objective of developing the European dimension of sport, in particular grassroots sports, the promotion of European values in accordance with Article 2 of the Treaty of the European Union. So, imagine this that I just mentioned to you as you're starting a course at university and they give you some books to read just to get ready. This is more or less to get ready to work in this field, to get ready to work in Erasmus. You need to know what Erasmus is looking for, so to study, to prepare yourself for what are the strategies, priorities, what is the EU work plan for sport, what is the Article 2 of the Treaty of the European Union, and so on. So in the context of these general objectives, the European Commission will set specific sectoral objectives and priorities for different sectors of the program. So Erasmus is organized in sectors, so you can send specific projects targeting specific sectors of European society. And each one has its own sectoral priorities. There are the horizontal ones that we all have to keep in mind while writing a project, and then we have the sectorals. So let's go a bit deeper in which are the sectors in Erasmus. So different sectors under which projects can be funded are school education, VET, that stands for vocational education training, higher education institutions, youth, adults, JAMONE activities, and sport. So how is it structured and how can you send projects in these sectors? So Erasmus Plus is structured in 3 key actions. So we have key action 1, that is the mobility of individuals, the Erasmus we all know about. We have key action 2, that is for cooperation for innovation and the exchange of good practices. Then we have key action 3, that is support for policy reform. And then on the side, not budget talking, but structure talking, we have JAMONE activities and sport activities. So let's dig into these key actions. We have the key one, mobility of individuals. So again, the Erasmus, we all know that some of us had, so mobility of learners and staff, opportunities for students, trainees, and young people, as well as for professors, teachers, trainers, to move and to gain experience, either learning or professional experience in another country. Then we have Erasmus Mundus joint master degrees. There are high-level integrated international study programs delivered by consortia of higher education institutions. Example of this, consortia even of just 2 higher education institutions, one in France and one in Italy, and at the end you get your certificate of graduation that is valid in both countries. Then we have the Erasmus Plus Master Loans. That is for higher education students from program countries that can apply for loan backed up by the program to go abroad for a full master degree. Then we have Key Action 2. Key Action 2 is probably where we all shine a bit more. It brought a big innovation, that is the one of strategic partnerships. So we'll go a bit more into details over this one at the end, not too much because Sam will talk a lot about it in the next class. So these key actions support transnational strategic partnership that are aimed to develop initiatives addressing one or more field of education, training youth, promoting innovation, exchange of experience and know-how. Then supports knowledge alliances between higher education institutions and enterprises, which aim to foster innovation, entrepreneurship, creativity, employability, all this for both sides, so both for staff of higher education institutions and for staff of the enterprises. Then we have sector skills alliances that are supporting the design and delivery of joint vocational training curricula. We saw the VET sector. And then we have the capacity building. Now I don't recall this moment who talked about countries, especially programs and projects, especially dealing with developing countries. So capacity building, it's your call, because it's our projects supporting cooperation with partner countries in the field of higher education and youth. So the capacity building projects aim to support organizations and institutions into modernizing and internationalizing their systems. There are both standard and formal education with higher education institutions, or more informal like youth organizations. And then this key action also support IT platforms such as eTwinning, School Education Gateway, the IPALE, so European Platform for Adult Learning, and the European Youth Portal. I think most of us at least heard about one of these platforms once in their life. They are quite famous. Then we have Key Action 3. Key Action 3, as I said, it's support for policy reform. It's quite interesting. We are involved in a couple of Key Action 3 projects. So support knowledge in the fields of education training and youth for evidence-based policy making and monitoring. Initiatives for policy innovation to stimulate the renewal of policies, new policy development among stakeholders, and to enable public authorities to test the effectiveness of these policies through field trials based on sound evaluation methodologies. Then the support to European policy tools to facilitate transparency and recognition of skills and qualification, cooperation with international organizations with highly recognized expertise and analytical capacities, such as the Council of Europe or OECD, and to facilitate stakeholder dialogue, policy and program promotion. Then we have the Jean Monnet activities. So this supports academic modules, chairs, centers of excellence in order to deepen teaching in European integration studies, policy debate with the academic world, that it's supported through networks to enhance cooperation between different universities through Europe and around the world, and projects for innovation and cross-fertilization and spread of EU content, aim to promote the discussion, reflection on EU issues and so on. And then to support organizations and associations that carry out statutory activities dealing with EU studies and EU issues. So Jean Monnet activities also provide operating grants to designated institutions which pursue an aim of European interest and organizes studies and conferences with the purpose of providing policymakers with new insights and concrete suggestions. And then there's sport. So sport, it's a bit of like really where MVNGO shine. So we like to talk about projects in the field of sport. I would invite you to have a look to our website and to reach the website of our sport branch. So we have a sport branch dedicated only to sport, to projects in the field of sport. So this action support collaborative partnerships that are aimed at promoting the integrity of sport, such as anti-doping, match fixing, protection of minors, gender balance, and so on, fighting racism, we actually, the last deadlines, we sent several projects in the field of sport. I happened to work on a project dealing with the issue that it's a big priority for the European Union of dual careers. So to create, to push athletes to take into consideration what will happen if they don't get pro, or if something happens and they cannot go on with their professional career as athletes. So I think it's something really useful on the European society side, and it's something in which this action is really great, because it's giving a lot of opportunities to a lot of people. Then it supports also not-for-profit European sports event, granting individual organizations in charge of the preparation, organization, and follow-up to a given event. Strengthening of the evidence base for policy making through studies, data gathering, surveys, networks, conferences, seminars, which spread good practices from program countries and sport organizations to reinforce networks at the EU levels. Example of this can be a project that is studying the effect on the health of youth to walk to school or take the bus, this kind of stuff. You gather data, you perform surveys, you do it using a network, an international network at European level, and then you can bring recommendation and actually data confirmed evidence of what you want to change or what you want to address. And then the dialogue with relevant European stakeholders. We are approaching the end of this presentation. I won't be talking too long anymore, and we will finally get to the Q&A section. We get to the one of who can participate in an Erasmus Plus program. So individuals or organizations active in the field of education, training, and youth constitute the main target population of the program. However, the program reaches these individuals through organizations, institutions, bodies, or groups that organize such activities. The conditions of access to the program are then related to these two actors. There are the participants, individuals who participate in the program, and the participating organizations. For both participants and participating organizations, the conditions for participation depends on the country in which they are based. So the European projects are submitted and managed by participating organizations representing the participants. And if a project is selected, the applicant organization becomes the beneficiary of the Erasmus grant. And as I promised, as the last thing, we are gonna talk really 20 seconds more about strategic partnership. Strategic partnerships aim to support development, transfer, and or implementation of innovative practices, as well as the implementation of joint initiatives promoting cooperation, peer learning, and exchanges of experience at the European level. So this lead to creating international consortium to do a lot of networking, create each organization their own network, and to carry on and to carry out these projects never alone. So always involving other countries. The thing I love about strategic partnership is that it really kind of forces you to open your mind, heart, and doors of your organization to people coming from other countries that have a different way of working, they have a different way of thinking, they have a different way of approaching, and in this way you can really foster peer learning, exchange of experiences, and just being in these partnerships you can grow as a professional, as a person. It's really probably one of the things that one of the actions that I love the most about this program. And depending on the objectives, the composition of a strategic partnership may be of two types. Strategic partnerships supporting innovation. So you want to create something innovative, something new, and you use a strategic partnership to do that. And then strategic partnerships supporting the exchange of good practices. So we are dealing with the problem, we organize a partnership, we study how we approach the same problem on from different perspectives. We see the best practices from each countries and from each country, and then we can manage to come out with a different approach and a different solution, maybe. So this was all from my side. More insights, as is written here, about actually how to write. So what are the basic steps to do to write a project proposal? So from the preparation to what to look for, and it's going to be in the next class. And then, of course, if you will decide to go on with our advanced classes, we will go way more into details. There will be exercises, there will be simulations on how to and what to write in certain boxes of the template of the form that the Commission is providing you, and also some feedbacks on the ideas that you will share with us. So I would like to thank you all for your attention, and if you have any question, this is the time to talk. Otherwise, you can ask everything all together to Sam next time. I wouldn't mind. No, of course I'm kidding. I mean, I'm here to answer your questions. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I think there would be no problem into sharing this presentation later on, if you need it. And if you have any question, I don't know if there's the chance to book yourself the place in the chat. No, I don't see it. So we can just go by staying muted and then raising your hands like we are in school. Okay, we can start with Giuseppina. Okay. First one.
Thanks for the presentation first, and then
I hope I didn't bore you too much. I mean, I used to talk a lot in general. Try to talk a bit less. I mean, Sam knows when we both like to talk. So when we're in the office, sometimes we start to talk and it's lunchtime. So
I have to say there were a lot of new information, but very interesting. I didn't know about everything you're going through every day, so it's quite a lot. Okay. Thank you. And
yeah, no, I know it's a lot, but we didn't want to go too much into details just because of this.
I mean, in a good way. It was not something like criticism, but I had a curiosity because in the beginning of the presentation, you say that it's very important to be creative because you usually use a bottom-up approach in this project design. But then I'm wondering, if you apply for fundings, how much freedom do they actually give you in this project design? Because I would have imagined that you need to use this top-down instead of a bottom-up approach.
Yeah, okay, so very, very interesting questions and thanks for it. I would say that you will learn to be bottom-up by speaking the language that the Commission wants to read. So we often joke among project designers that we learned how to speak Bruxellese by writing these projects because there's I think we saw this word in a couple of reviews that we got. Like, you really know how to write in Bruxellese, but
yeah, or progettese.
Yeah, exactly. So it depends on the call. So in most of the cases, it's bottom up. It depends on the call, the kind of freedom they give you. There are calls that are more strict and top down, but in general, especially in Erasmus, you have guidelines, priorities that you need to meet. So of course you need to address, I don't know, priority of increasing digital literacy. So of course you need to address that. You need to address that problem, and in this way they're taking away a bit of freedom from you, but they're giving you the topic and then you can come up with your idea about that topic. Okay, this is the topic. I have this idea that to me it's innovative. I want to bring it to the European Commission, and there are really not a lot of limits to creativeness at that point. But that is especially for Erasmus. Then there are some other funding schemes, some calls in Horizon that are quite top down. But as a general approach, we can say to European funding schemes, it's bottom up. General approach, Erasmus bottom up, 99% of the time. And the other funding schemes, it depends. But general approach, bottom up.
Okay, that's interesting.
Don't know if you wanted to know a bit more, or if I answered your question. I would also say that they can direct the way that you're going to be creative, giving you templates and a limit of characters. So of course, I mean, I can be creative as much as I want, but they want to know about risk management here. So how creative can I be with risk management? Or I can be creative, but here they want to know the associated partners of this project. So I mean, this is the field, this is the target group. How creative can I be with that? And so on. So they try to direct you in a way, giving you templates to fill in, but giving you the freedom to come up with the idea and what to produce.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if there are other questions. Yes, okay. Chiara unmuted herself first, Marwan, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
The law of the jungle here.
I have just one question. Just the first step, exactly. I can participate as individual, or I need to create an association?
No, I wouldn't say to create an association. You can work with an association.
I can work with an association, but as an individual, as a...
Yeah, I can tell you probably the best example to explain this is the Marie Curie Fellowship. Mm-hmm. So it's an individual scholarship that you get, but the grant is given to university. So you apply as an individual to work at a specific university with exchanging or whatsoever, but is this. And in our cases, you apply for, in example, an Erasmus project, you apply, let's say, on behalf of your target group, but it's you or us, MVNGO, applying for that individuals that are going to participate and implementing those activities. Don't know if it was clear as an answer.
Yeah, it's a clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know, Sam, whenever you want to add something or you just want to yell at me to making it too simple or too difficult.
No, it's just to answer just this is that basically if you would like to implement a project, you need the capacity to do it. And of course, in the eyes of an evaluator, a group of if there is only one person per country, it's very difficult that you can fully implement a project. You need like a team of people for each partner organization. So it is for it that basically there are the entities that are applying for the project, and then for each entity you have a team of people that are working, because there are a lot of aspects that are part of a project that need to be managed. So it is for this purpose that just one single person cannot apply for a project.
Yes, but I mean in the official way, I'm alone, but with me I have a lot of collaborators. But I did not create an association. I want to know if for participate, for apply, I need to create an association.
Yes, you need a legal entity.
I
yes,
need
you need a legal
entity.
Yes.
Is this that I mean? Okay, thank you.
Then maybe it will be Chiara SRL, but you need the legal entity.
Okay.
So Marwan, you are the next one.
Yeah, it's not kind of question as much as it's a kind of comment, but before I go through the comments, I would like to thank you for the very into data kind of presentation. It was very much interesting, and you have had most of the EU schemes, funding schemes, and you presented them very well. Like, congrats. My comment actually goes to Josefina, if you would allow me. When it comes to the bottom-up approach and top-down approach, they are actually given, yes, so many forms to be filled, and they somehow limit your creativity, but in the same time, they have to limit you from being carried away so much. But in the same time, they also give you the additional documents where you can upload whatever you want to make your idea more clear in their eyes, like a logical framework or a concepts note, a more excessive one. But also there is the participatory approach, like you're having that objective in the agenda of the EU, in the program you're applying for, like K-Action 2, let's say, and you would like to do something related to the innovation to address a specific problem you would like to solve, and then you start going, let's say, with the problem tree to the roots of the problem, and then you choose a specific issue you would like to resolve, and then you go up with the objective tree, building the logical framework as much as I do, at least, or as much as I used to, using the participatory approach as well, and that's very much bottom up. You can correct me, of course, Lorenzo is your name, right?
Patrizio.
Patrizio, sorry.
Let's start. I'm sorry.
No worries. So yes, like they do limit you sometimes when it comes maybe to dissemination. They tell you, okay, you have 250 characters to write how you're going to disseminate that project, but in the same time they are giving you a room to write something even more in the additional forms you can upload within the form. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. I mean, the annex section is always one of our favorite. Whatever it doesn't fit in the form, it goes in the annex section. Yeah.
Put it there.
Yeah. I mean, they give you the chance, yeah.
But I think that it's also good in a way that they give you this sort of limit of characters, because of course you will try to be as much as clear and detailed as possible. You will not put like a lot of general information, because think about that in the eyes of an evaluator, if you write too general or too much and you don't go straight to the point, it's really hard to understand what you would like to do in the project. And like when they're evaluating project, they have tons of projects that they need to evaluate. So the more straight to the point you go, the better it is.
I totally agree. When you have the IOs, you can write whatever you want in the IOs.
But I have another question then, guys,
yes.
for all of you. It's because I come from the pharma industry, so it's a strict top-down approach. But then how detailed do you have to be? Because like in the project I did, yes, of course, we knew what to do, but then we had to adjust all the time because you never know how science will go. But then how is it for you with this kind of fundings? How detailed do you need to be in the beginning when you know very little about the project?
Okay, so if you want, guys, I can be the first one. I'm pretty sure that both Samantha and Marwan will want to answer this one, but I'll go first. It's again very good question, very good question. It's probably the main question that you need to ask yourself when you start to write a project every time, because according to the topic and the project and the kind of call that you're applying to, I mean, it's difficult sometimes not to be specific when you are talking about something innovative, because maybe the innovation is only in your head. So you feel that if you are not going to go into a lot of details, it won't be understood. So it's a very thin line. But you have to think that, as Samantha was talking about, the time that the evaluators have to look at the projects. Unfortunately, there are countries in which evaluators have like 7 minutes per project. So, I mean, you can go You can go as long as you want into details, and if after the first 3 lines they didn't understand your point, the project is gone. Because also the main thing that they have in the back of the head is, if I don't understand it, it's not gonna be funded. It can be the most valid project. I mean, I can understand that it's gonna be innovative, but if I don't understand what am I funding here, it's not gonna be successful. So it's a thin line. Based on my experience, it depends a lot on the call. So you're writing an Horizon, you need to be more. There are also, I mean, it depends on the call also, because it depends on the money that they're spending. So in Horizon, there are a lot more money. There are some calls that are funded in order of almost double-digit million euros and so on. So of course, before giving a grant like that, they want you to go into details, and they want to explore your project, even the commas that you're putting and everything. In Erasmus also, we are talking about social innovation. So sometimes it's given for granted that you are gonna discover the way to implement that along the way. So you have the idea, you want to bring the innovation, so you know what research to do, but it's normal also that you don't go too much into details, because you're creating something new. It can be that and you're creating something new on a social aspect. So if we are creating a new machine, we know what the machine will be at the end. At least in our mind, we are projecting that. If we are creating an innovation on the social side, we know where we want to get. We know how we would like it to be when we get there. But there's a social process in between that you cannot really put down 100% and be sure that it's going to turn out that way. So I try to be specific when I write a project. I try to be specific on the impact that I want the project to have. So the people that I want to reach, the target group, how many, in which way is gonna, let's say, have a domino effect and reach more people. And I talk about what I want to do as a social innovation, giving the idea. I have this idea that I can innovate in this field, doing this, and we can create this. To create this, we are going to do this, this, and that. But I won't push myself to say, I don't know, we are creating an app that will have 7 interfaces, and it will go directly to all the websites of all the partners, and it will have all the feedbacks of all the participants to the mobility, because it's impossible to reach all of them when they come back. They disappear in the wind, and so on. So I don't know if I was more or less clear. Unfortunately, it's a gray area, this one, on how much do you need to be specific. It depends on the call, but some calls will ask you and will tell you, if you read the call properly, and that's the first thing, first quality, first skill of a European project manager, learn to read the call. If you read the call properly, you know what they want to see, and you know what they want to hear. So, I mean, it's a 30-page form, but you know that they're only interested in the question they're doing at page 18. So you know you're going to be focusing on that.
Okay.
And so on. I want to leave the floor now to Samantha. I talk too much, guys. You need to stop me.
It.
You need to stop me.
Okay, so to answer your question, I will just share my experience with the Italian National Agency Evaluator. I had the chance to have a course with them, like a full day with the Italian National Agency Evaluators. It was a really, really challenging, but really also interesting day, because they were like really clear of what they need when you're writing a project. So the first thing that they said is read the question. Read each question that you have in the template and answer each question that you have in the template. Because basically with those questions, they're already telling you what you need to write in the proposal and basically how much in detail you need to go. And second thing was you need to think when you're writing and to put yourself in the shoes of an evaluator. So they don't have knowledge in all the topics of the world, of course. So it's good that you go in detail, but meaning that you give them as much details they need to clearly and fully understand your idea, but not too much, because some information, maybe they are too much sectoral, and for them they will not understand it. That is too much. So they will just go like in the other box. So basically what they told us is that we need to make the proposal clear. We need to go in detail, but to make people understand, or better, to make the evaluator understand what we want to do. So the impact is really important. And the project are as the same as science. Things change, especially like when you are in the period of the project implementation. So there are a lot of internal and external factors that can influence the implementation of the project, and the consortium sometimes need to readapt what was the plan before. So, but for them that's also depending on the evaluators or national agencies, because for some of them it's important to know everything that you're gonna do in the project. For other evaluators, it's good if you leave some, let's say, free spaces for adaptation in the project, or something that you decide during project implementation. So it depends on the evaluator. That's the point. There is not like a right way or wrong way to do it. There are also different style of project designing. Each project designer has his own style, focusing on different things. Like for me, for example, it's the methodology, the intellectual outputs, and everything that goes around them. I really focus to be as much as clear as possible when I'm writing that part. But if you talk with another project designer, maybe he's focusing on something else and he has a different style. So that's also I think the good thing of this sector. There are tools, instruments, manual that can help you, that can guide you in this path. But the good thing is that it's always you and your style that is merging in this sector. That's the good thing. And I will not say anything more, because if not, I'm spamming and spoiling my next session. So
I just give you an example about what Samantha was saying. So, I mean, we work together, same office, and we are the two seniors of the team. So we have a team of project designers, and being the seniors, we review the projects of the others. So a lot of times happened that I read the project, I gave a feedback, the designer will change the project according to my feedback, and then Samantha will read the project and give a feedback that will go on the opposite direction of the feedback I gave before, because there's no rule.
That's normal.
Really, there's no rule. And it's like there's not right or wrong. I mean, we both got project approved and project refused, right, in different ways. It's really, there's no right or wrong. There are things that you know after a while that the commission and the evaluators wants to see, and that are super wrong. Let's say it this way: there are wrongs, but there's no right. I don't know if Marwan wanted, since you also are quite experienced, if you want to share your...
I totally agree with you guys. I totally agree with you 100%. And they don't even leave you after the approval. I'm speaking about the national agencies. There is the monitoring process and the assessment. Like they give you 40% at the beginning, and then after a while, 30% after you submit some monitoring back to them, and then the last 30%. So they don't leave you. Maybe
Never.
Do you implement it?
Never.
But yes, they are there with you. And there is also control group. Some associations do control groups, so the focus on the risk management and the implementation of how to get the assessments of this project done. Some others do concentrate on something else, and both of them are correct. None of them is wrong, and both of them get approved. None of them, of course, some of them get refused, but still, like, convince the evaluator.
Yeah, but also like you brought up a very good point actually, that it's like now we are going to give you with this course, especially the advanced one, an overview on how to become a European project manager at 360 degrees, let's say. But then you can choose your niche. So like we have partners that are only quality managers in the. Okay, sorry, I'm reading that Anna needs to leave us. I'm sorry, Anna, if you have 20 minutes, you wanna ask something super fast? You wanna just give us some compliments? You can. You can make time for that.
No, thank you for the lesson. Thank you, but I really have to go.
Okay, so
interesting.
we'll wait you for the next one with Samantha.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Enjoy your class. Bye.
Bye.
So I'm sorry for interrupting me, but yeah, I was saying that we're gonna give you the tools to be a project manager 360 degrees, but then you can choose your niche. We have partners that are only quality managers in the project, so like they put it clear that they will follow. Of course, you present them, they do the activities, but 90% of what they do is quality management or is risk management. You also get sectoral on this, also because it's not always, maybe at the beginning, but after a while it's not always fun to do research for the best practices on education through sport or to write a national report. So you, after a while that you're in the field, you start to adjust yourself. You start to understand a bit more what you like the most. If you only like, it could be that you will only like writing projects, but the implementation you don't care, or writing you don't really like it, but you want to be involved more into the research activities, into the non-formal training, this kind of stuff. So you choose your niche. Yes, Sarah.
Yes, I was wondering about this. From the financial point of view, is the project manager also like, does he have to, I don't know, fill out a financial form to submit for approval? How does it work?
That's a very good question that I hoped you had for Samantha next lesson, but let's do it. No, of course, no, we can keep it like, I mean, Samantha will go more into details about it. 2 words about how a budget work in a European project. Depending on the call, depending on the funding scheme, it can be direct cost, so you get a reimbursement for your real costs, or you have unit cost. There is the example of the key actions of Erasmus+. So unit cost, it means that the European Commission spent a few years doing a lot of research about quality, cost of life, average salary in every country, the average of the travels expenses and whatsoever to travel from one point to another one. At the end, they divided Europe in 4 bands, and they made a unit cost. It means that a working day in a specific category in a certain country is paid that much, and you don't change it. So the budget will fill itself up while you write the project, basically. Once you put the partnership and you write the project and you put 20 days to create that, 25 days to create that, and the position is a researcher, or this and that, it will create itself. You still have to organize and provide a good, let's say, schedule on how you want to manage this money, because we talked about Horizon projects with 10 million euros budget. It doesn't mean that when the Commission is giving you 300,000 euros for an Erasmus project, they don't care, because it's just peanuts. So of course you need to write down a detailed way in which you want to administrate those money. You need to keep reports during the period of the implementation of the project. You need to keep timesheets. There are documents to provide. Let's say so unit cost didn't exist before. So this is kind of an experiment that the Commission did with the unit cost in Erasmus+. I think it's going quite well, because I read somewhere that they want to start using unit cost also in some other actions and some other funding schemes. So they will start do that. There are some things like scientific projects in which if you need to buy a piece of equipment, and you can have a range, but it's not like at that time will change, price will change with time. So you cannot do that, and you will have to stick with direct cost. But it was an experiment that I personally liked a lot, and it's not only because I count still on the tip of my fingers when I need to go 3 + 4 = 7, but because it opened a lot the doors of these projects to everyone, to normal people that had an idea, created. I mean, I know people that have organizations like really small no-profits, and I mean, they wouldn't know how to make a budget foreseen direct, indirect, exceptional cost for 3 years in advance, and they would not participate, because if I need to write a project that I don't know if I'm gonna win and pay someone to write the budget for me, there's like no point. They will not participate and they will lose the opportunity. So the unit cost, the idea behind the unit cost, it's inclusiveness. It's everyone with a good idea on a social level can participate, and the budget is not an issue. It's not a wall that you have to overcome. Then the management of the budget, I mean, you also create partnerships for this. Because if I'm not able, I won't be a coordinator for a project, but it will be someone else that will handle the money, and I will only have to send the timesheets, and they will give the money. But of course, I mean, this opened a lot, really a lot, the doors of these programs for a lot of organizations that wouldn't even know Erasmus Plus existed before the unit cost. So to me, it was a game changer on a totally positive note. And again, not only for my personal perspective of person that cannot do simple math. I don't know, Sam, idea about it, if she likes unit cost or she wants to do, she likes it more when we do budgets for Horizon and the others.
No, I totally agree with unit cost, especially when like you need to write a lot of projects. The fact that there are the unit cost is amazing, because it's really cut off a lot of time that you will spend.
20 minutes, a budget is done. That's it.
Yes. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, for the unit cost. Yeah, so basically when you're designing the project, it's not that you're asked like this type of documents for each category, each people that will be involved in the project. Like those documents for the financing regard more the implementation phase. So you don't need to go crazy when you're designing the project.
I don't know, there are any more questions? You feel like we gave you too many informations for today? I mean, I know it was a lot, but if we, like I realized the information I gave to you today, it was the first 3 days in my master, and I gave it to you in 2 hours. So I know it's a lot, but I think it's needed to have a bit of an understanding of how this works, and especially what can I do. Like I told you about my background at the beginning. In my case, I was just jumping in the dark. Yeah, there are projects in which Europe and China can work together. Let's have a master. There's no other anything that I can find online. So I have a lot of people that did the master with me, and they didn't continue. That some of them didn't even finish the master because they thought it was different. They didn't know what they were going into. So I think it's only honest when someone is approaching a field to give them a wide perspective. Maybe you will need a couple of days to adjust, and maybe you will be thinking about something and you will say, no, fuck, this is not. I muted myself. This is not Erasmus Plus. This is life. Oh, what was Cosme about? But what is a societal challenge in Horizon? This kind of stuff. It's normal. But at least you know that if you want to do something on a social side, there are certain type of funding schemes that you can apply. If you want to go more into research, there's Horizon. And if you want to do policy reforms, there are actions for it in Erasmus. That it's incredible. Think about it. Policy reforms coming directly bottom up, going to European institutions. It's, I don't know, democracy at its best. So yeah, I mean, I think you can feel that I'm really passionate about this field. I changed, while I was studying, I changed a lot of jobs. I mean, I was jumping from here to there, changed a lot of countries. When I discovered this word, I immediately had the idea there was the right field. And now it's been few years, and I'm never thinking, even if I changed position to job, I changed companies, never thought of changing fields. So it's, if you're passionate about social innovation, if you truly believe in Europe, in what it could be a union among states, I think this field can only bring you happiness. A lot of headache, but also a lot of happiness. So I hope, if there are no other questions, I really hope you enjoyed the class, and you, even if you had to listen to me for 2 hours talking non-stop. I didn't even drink. I mean, if some of you had the camera on me, I didn't even drink. And it's, I don't know, 75 degrees in Sardinia right now. There's fire outside my window. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I'm really glad that I had the chance to meet you all. It looks like I will have the chance to meet some of you either in the office, or, I mean, we also have a lot of external collaborators, so either remotely again or in the office. I hope I will have the chance to meet you soon. And maybe if you think this field can be the right field for you, I will have also the chance to, we will also have the chance to work together. And next class will be with Sam. That is a way better teacher than I am, or better trainer, sorry, you said trainer. That it's because also, I mean, phraseology words are important in writing project. If you write down there is going to be a teacher or there's going to be a trainer, it makes a difference. So Sam is going to be your trainer for the next class. I think it's going to be at the beginning of next week.
Yes,
and,
if you let me ask them, maybe.
Sam, you even want me to stop talking? Come on. You know,
maybe I'm trying to, because I would like to ask. Yes, basically, we didn't send you a calendar for the course because we understand that you have like different appointments. And for us, it was the best it was to reach an agreement during the session. So to be sure that everybody will be there in the next session. So are you available on Tuesday 14, always at 3 o'clock?
I am.
Okay.
I don't know, Sam, I'll let you know. You know, I might have a Virago meeting, so who knows?
Okay, you know, in that case, you're excused. Okay, so what about the others? Is it okay on Tuesday, 3 o'clock? Okay. I will send you also the official email. We will already create the Zoom link. Okay. So I will send you the official email for this. Okay, I just need to ask Anna, but I think that also for her will be okay. Okay, nice. You see?
Thank you.
In 10 seconds, I made it.
Okay, then again, thanks to all of you for participating, for your contribution with the questions. I mean, I told you this was the first 3 days of my master, and I probably asked the first question on the 5th day. So that after 2 hours you were still with us to ask questions that were on point related to what we said. It says a lot. So thanks, really. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll meet for the next class of SAM, and hopefully soon in the office. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Thanks again for participating.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Grazie mille.
Forse
Come funziona mo, Sam?
No, se noi chiudiamo tutti quanti, poi dovrebbe chiudere
Che dici, Sam? Feedback?
Chiudi che intanto finiamo la
registrazione. Onesto.